It's Jim Check with Jason Mann for Kelowna Now. And we want to know what's important to you for the upcoming election in October for British Columbians.
Yeah, so there's a number of things, and it would be interesting to know how they rank with various people.
Yeah, because we're going to get the parties that are going to put out their platforms and tell us what's important to us. I think it should be the other way around. We should be telling them what's important to us. But most of the parties that are starting to put out their platforms, I think there was a piece that came out yesterday. Kevin Falcon had a 3 pieces that he's put out. And, we'll get the same from the NDP and from the Conservative Party of BC.
So
but
if you had...
people need to say what's important to them.
Yeah, so if you had to write a not-so-lovey love letter to the government with the things that you'd like to fix in the relationship, what would they be?
Well, I think what's important to most British Columbians right now is housing affordability, whether you're renting or paying a mortgage. I think that's number one in my mind. That's what I hear from lots of people. And also inflation and what they're buying at the grocery store, what they're paying at the gas pump and stuff like that. Just the day-to-day.
The fundamentals.
Day-to-day survival.
Yeah.
For most people, it seems to be what's on most people's minds, right?
It's the Maslow's hierarchy, the bottom tier, right? Like safety, security, all of that.
Right. And
so
how do they afford to live? And that's why we're seeing, I did a live stream a couple days ago where we're seeing an exodus to Alberta where there seems to be more opportunity and lower costs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this is the time for you to be heard. So we're asking if you want to be heard, you can either email us, send us a note, or you can come and join us and do a live stream and tell us or tell, BC government or the BC parties what's important to you. I think we need to get that message out. The healthcare obviously is a big one too, right? Homelessness, opioid crisis. There's a ton of them out there. But what is important to you? I think that message needs to be sent loud and clear to the people running for office for the next to govern BC for the next 4 years.
You've been around for a number of decades, as have I.
Wow.
Has there been a time where you've had any more greater concern than now in terms of the direction or numbers of issues and the seriousness of the issues?
People probably won't believe it. I'm typically not political, but the last 4 years, I definitely. You go look at my LinkedIn posts from now, like recently to the past. I was more on finance stuff, but I think it's in everybody's minds right now. Politics are because they're playing such a huge role in people's lives. So I think. And a lot of people think things have gotten a lot worse in the past 8 years. So I think that goes from businesses to employees, employers, all that kind of stuff. It just seems to have gotten worse.
I think it's fueling the mental health issues too in our province and in our country.
For sure. Whenever you're stressed financially, that causes a lot of friction in relationships as well. Whoever you have a relationship, that could be with your parents, it could be with your partner. A lack of money and a lot of bills causes friction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are having a lot of stress.
So how can people voice their concerns, raise their voice?
One, you can email news@kelownanow.com. You can come in and do a live stream. You can just email and say, yeah, I want to do something. You stay away from like long-winded rants and stuff like that. But I mean, where do you want to see change, right? Like, where do you want to see change? We'll just use you for an example. Where do you want to see change? What's important to you and your family? You have 3 kids at home.
Yeah. Everybody's probably going to have a slightly different level of priority based on what their current conditions are. And, thankfully we have a safe, home in a safe community, generally speaking. But if I was living, maybe in other parts of town, I'd be maybe thinking like homelessness and drug, Yeah.
But I'm just asking you personally, what's important to you? Like what do you want to see? Like what changes need to happen?
I think the healthcare system has been one of the bedrocks to Canadian life that is, I don't know if it's been taken for granted, but I don't know if, like, my theory is this. People say that Canadians are generally a little bit nicer than Americans, right?
If you ask an American, they probably won't agree with you there.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, I think if you ask the world, they would agree. But, and I think part of that reason is because in the US, they don't have a universal health care system. And so they are constantly on the razor's edge of survival, a large percentage of the population, and what that stress level can do or create in somebody. Whereas in Canada, I think people feel a little bit more supported and security because of that. There's a baseline of security that you're not going to die
I
unnecessarily.
get what you're saying. Like Canada has like an access to free healthcare, but right now we just don't have access to free healthcare.
I know, this is what
It's
I'm
free.
trying to say.
It's free if you can get to it.
I'm noticing the difference, right?
You know what I mean? Like,
you
it's
can't
free.
get to it. No.
It's free if you can get to it, right?
No.
A lot of people don't have doctors and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. So, but that's why I'm saying I think it's a bit of a dark horse in terms of priorities. You might not notice it.
okay,
from
let
day
me
to
ask
day,
this
but-
question a different way to you.
Mhm.
If you were the BC Premier in October, what are the 4 or 5 things that you tackle?
Definitely drug recriminalization or decriminalization, that whole space. I don't think either left or right actually have it right currently, but that'd be number one. I just think that we need a productive, healthy society, and we need to, help people reach those goals.
Sure. 2,
Healthcare and bringing back any doctor. I mean, think about this. We were banging pots and pans for our heroes at the most, height of the pandemic, when everybody was afraid, and these people fearlessly walked into those buildings every day to help people who were, dying.
so you're saying end the vaccine mandates.
And it's
okay.
it's rude.
3,
Well, housing, from a provincial level, what can we do? I mean, I think on a federal level, there's a number of things, but it's a provincial election coming up, so I won't bring in some of those more federal topics, but whatever the province can do to encourage building. And I think that goes to forestry. Like, you need trees to build homes. So why is our forestry industry so messed up? And a number of other issues, regarding
so
that.
what would
Forest
you do
fires.
though? So I'm pushing you to say what you would do. You're highlighting some of the problems. but-
Yeah, I would move forward with smart plans. I think there's enough knowledge and information out there and how you can responsibly forest and reforest as you use a renewable
Okay, so
resource like that.
you'd work on the forest industry. What's the next one?
Permitting, to take so long to get a home built in Lake Country or anywhere else in our province just doesn't make any sense. I'd probably tighten up some of the restrictions that they've taken away in some areas, like just build whatever you want, wherever you want. I don't know that makes a lot of sense. I think that can, change neighborhoods and create problems on infrastructure without thinking about it from a strategic point of view. So I think there needs to be a bit of thought put back into what we're doing and how we're going about it, but make it easier to build, make it easier to create those homes, but do so with some actual thought and strategy.
One more?
Well,
I mean, I put you on the spot. You come up with your platform in like 2 minutes here.
Yeah. Geez, I don't know what from a provincial perspective, I don't know, maybe food security, there could be some role in that somehow. I'm not
Okay, so
sure.
you work on your platform. How's that?
Yeah, I will. I'll make some comments in the
You work on your
comment
platform.
section below.
All right, you work on your platform. Again,
What's your number one?
my number one?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of number ones.
Yeah, I know, it's
I think incentivizing businesses in an industry, our forest industry is suffering. So how do we get our resource sector? That's one of our number one assets in British Columbia is your phone that rings when you're is number one assets in British Columbia and Canada for that matter is our resource sector, and it's underutilized right now. And how do we get that going, the economic engine, so that British Columbians can benefit from it, so that we can have access to more education for our children, housing for our people, and better programs and healthcare. Obviously, being part of that would benefit from it. Because if you walk into any hospital, you're going to see the companies that have donated lots of the equipment there. You're going to see names like Kinross and stuff like that, mining companies and forestry companies, and that. We need to get them interested in British Columbia. There's such an opportunity for technology too, and energy. Energy is going to be one of the biggest drivers in the world for artificial intelligence, and one of the things that it needs is energy, and British Columbia could sit at the forefront of that. So I just think getting investment, and we see that cultures that or communities or societies or provinces and states that do very well have a rich resource sector, and they tap into that and they use that money for their people.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where I'd start.
There you go.
Stop punishing people, start rewarding people.
All right. So we want to hear from you.
Sure. Let's hear it. All right. Thank you for watching Kelowna Now, and go Oilers, go.